Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Reed's Reach Spider-Man Crawl Space Edition. Please check us out at the SpiderManCrawlspace.com. Well, I'm here to review, of course, the latest issue of Amazing Spider-Man number 67, aka 961 in Legacy number. And of course, this issue is by Justina Ireland and Andrea Broccardo on the artwork as we get onto this part here. So we're going to go ahead and get into the main part of the story here of what we're going to have to about the latest issue on the Eight Deaths of Spider Man as we get ready to actually come close to a conclusion of this storyline next month. So, how did this all seem to do? Well, with that note, everybody, let's go ahead and talk about the pros, shall we? So one thing I will say here is the book actually did a pretty good job here about introducing actually here with the X-Men getting in. It makes a lot of parts of what the story, and I also like the fact that finally we actually find out what is the Covenant and why did Doctor Strange really get involved in this. It's a nice little journey down to Doctor Strange's earlier days when he was actually doing with all the different deities from Latum to, of course, Cyttorak, and even explaining about how he learned about the blight, which was an emptiness that devours everything. Kind of sounds a little bit like the loom in Star Trek Prodigy, but it actually worked pretty good. The story, I like finally getting the answers. There's also kind of a nice. I like the fact that the X-Men actually get involved in the point here. Them going against the latest Scion, Cradios, who is basically brute power immensified, is actually pretty cool. And I actually do like the fact that with not only their involvement with the story, the fact that Juggernaut actually ends up beating Cardius pretty easily here. It's actually a nice little job on how they work onto it about showing about the brute thing. Sounds like Cardius doesn't really have a plan. He planned on fighting Spider-Man. Of course, he comes across the X-Men, and the fact that with all this happening, it doesn't really help. I also do like the fact that basically explaining as Doctor Strange that the blight is really what the true problem is. As I said, it's soul rot, how it destroys an entities, everything else, and then how it actually goes into working onto it and what he's been trying to do and why he actually made the deal with Cyttorak to, of course, why he didn't want this to happen. It's finally giving some good stories to this, and like I said, it finally kind of feels like we're actually getting to a point why this story happened, and the fact that the why this should have been dealt mostly with Doctor Strange, that the champion, of course, with Doctor Doom currently doing the One World under Doctor Doom crossover, really messed everything up on that. So it's really kind of a nice part of that story on there. And I do like seeing the fact that we're actually seeing the threat, but that kind of goes into the cons here. We knew we were not going to see the end of all the Scions. As basically as the Scions have been defeated by Spider-Man. They're not really been killed or destroyed. And the fact that Calyx, of course, gets infected by the blight, which leads to actually the story here. And I do like the fact that despite all this that's happened, however, it really hurts the story because throughout the entire story, we've actually been seeing as Cyttorak has actually been just sitting there on a throne. Big Papa Red is just not saying anything to him. When Cyttorak talks, he's acting like, hey, kids, I want part about what's really going on here. ahead and think about liking or subscribing to us to, of course, check out the most latest news in each feature, especially this channel for our reviews as we get ready for the next couple of issues here as the conclusion of 8 Deaths of Spider-Man the next month, as well as upcoming issues of Ultimate Spider-Man and the tie-in issues. So with that note, everybody, I hope to see everybody later.